And welcome back to another episode of Casey Campbell's Videocast. Of course, I'm Casey Campbell from Great Lakes Post, and now we are joined by the Ohio State women's basketball head coach, Kevin McGuff. Kevin, how are you?
Doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm doing good. What a crazy few months this has been. Of course, you were just in the Big Ten women's tournament, and then ultimately the NCAA tournament got canceled because of COVID-19. Going back to that, did you really know what was going on?
I did, and it was such a crazy thing because we had played really well in the Big Ten tournament and made it to the finals and lost to a great Maryland team. But so I was really excited about how we were playing and how much progress we had made this season, and looking forward to the NCAA tournament. And then that week, things just every day it seemed to change a little bit. And boy, by the time we got to the end of the week, obviously they were canceling the tournament. And our kids were going home, and just a wild turn of events.
Yeah. What has life been like for you? I know you're trying to get ready for next year, as well as checking on your current players. How are they doing?
They're doing pretty well. Obviously, we went to remote learning very quickly, and so we've been really doing a lot to make sure they've got everything they need to finish up the semester in a positive way. And our kids really embrace that, done a great job. And we try to jump on some Zoom calls weekly just to check in with everybody and make sure they're doing well. And we had a lot of great momentum at the end of this past season, so we're just trying to do some things to kind of keep that going and make sure they keep their connection. And then I'll reach out to them individually on occasion too, just to make sure they're doing okay. If there's anything they need from me or anything I can help with.
Yeah. Also, how is recruiting different now? I know a lot of coaches are kind of doing that, putting their pieces together for next year. What's recruiting different for you?
Well, obviously we can't be off campus. We can't do anything in person. And along with the NCAA tournament starting, we had a month planned of going off campus and doing home visits and so forth and recruiting. So we've had to put those on the shelf, and we're doing them like this, though. We're doing them through Zoom calls. And so we are continuing to obviously recruit. So we do phone calls, we text, and then we do some stuff on Zoom just to make sure we can continue with that process, continue to identify and get the right kids coming to Ohio State.
How long did it take you to learn Zoom?
Funny, I've never heard of Zoom before this, but I think I got it down pretty good now. And so, it's fun. Necessity is a funny thing. It'll make you learn some new tricks.
Yeah. And then, how did you find out about Zoom? Did Gary just tell you like, oh, this is how we do this then?
Everybody started talking about it. I had colleagues that said, hey, we're going to do some home visits on Zoom. And then I started looking into it. And then very quickly, our academic advisor was setting up a team Zoom call so she could get with the entire team. And I started jumping on that just to check in on everybody. And so, I figured out pretty. And my wife knew about it, and she's been doing some of it, so she kind of helped with it too.
What have you been up to? Like, how do you keep yourself busy? I know I talked to Greg Campy yesterday at Oakland, and he was talking about this card game that he was been playing. What are you doing to keep busy?
My wife and I, we have 6 children. So, and our oldest is 16, our youngest is 7. So they're all in school. And so every morning, and my wife kind of spearheads this, and I help out when she needs me or when I can. But so we're helping them with especially our younger children, we're helping them with their school, make sure they've got everything going the right way with their schoolwork. And so we do that. Then I try to get the kids out in the yard. Obviously we're doing practicing social distancing, so we don't even have them playing with the neighborhood kids right now. But I get them out in the yard, try to burn some energy off, or get them out on the basketball court and put them through some drills. So as hard as this whole COVID-19 thing has been, I've had more time to spend with my children. It's actually been a bit of a blessing that way.
Oh, yeah.
Not the way I wanted it to happen, but I've been able to spend some more time with them. So I spend a lot of time with my kids, and then at night we try to get something on TV. I don't get a chance to watch a lot of TV, but I've watched more Netflix than ever.
Yeah, have you watched Tiger King?
I have.
You like it?
It was one of those things where I kept saying to myself, I don't know why I'm watching this, but I can't turn it off. It was fascinating.
Yeah, I think from what a friend told me, I think parts of it were shot in Ohio or something like that, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I think they had some connection to Ohio with some of the things that we had at one point with tigers in Ohio or something. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? Obviously, let's the biggest news in women's college basketball is, of course, Muffet McGraw announcing
Right.
retirement yesterday. You just share your thoughts. I'm sure you've had plenty of interactions with her.
Yeah, I worked for her for 6 years, so I was on her staff. And I had an amazing experience. She's a tremendous coach, even better person. She was very influential in my life in terms of my development as a coach. I met my wife at Notre Dame. We actually worked together on her staff, and so I have a big connection. And then, but anyways, it's a loss for our game from the standpoint of Muffet has done such an amazing job for our sport and been such a great ambassador. But also, they made a great hire in Neil Ivey, who I coached at Notre Dame, who actually worked for me when I was the head coach at Xavier. She started her career on my staff before she went on to Notre Dame to be an assistant. And she's going to do an absolutely unbelievable job. It was a great hire for Notre Dame. And so I'm excited for her and excited to see her really continue the great tradition with that program.
Yeah, I mean, when you came in there and first met Muffet, what was she like?
She's a great coach. I really learned so much from her. One of the things that I think kind of separates college coaches and programs is kind of how you run the program. And that's one of the things that, like outside people wouldn't know because it's kind of a behind the scenes look, but she's such a great manager of her program. She treats people incredibly well. She's extremely organized and efficient. And then, you can see obviously a great coach on the floor and was so successful, but just a really great person. And just, I feel very fortunate to have had the opportunity to work there.
When you look at this coming season, so many unknowns heading into this. What do you think college sports could look like once we get to September, October, and maybe even?
I don't know. I think it's like, obviously, I think all the experts are modeling for all the different possibilities that could happen. And so I don't know. I just think that I know in Ohio and at Ohio State, we've done a great job, I think, listening to the experts and letting the science and the data drive our decisions. I think we'll continue to do that. And, I think there's still a lot of unknown, but, Ohio State is an incredibly special place, a powerful brand. We're going to be okay when it's all said and done, no matter what. But it could be a very interesting year ahead for sure.
Yeah. Having the challenge of 6 kids, I know Ohio just recently closed all their schools. The challenges of what have you learned? Are you learning new things that you've never learned before? When I know you and your wife have to play teacher. What have you learned from what?
I'm learning that I don't know a lot because my kids will say like, "Hey, Dad, can you help me with this?" I'm looking like, wait a minute, I don't know. You got to go ask Mom. But no, I've always had a great appreciation for teachers, but even more so now is that having to really be so involved with our kids and their schoolwork. Teachers are real saints. They do an amazing job, and the impact that they have on our youth is immeasurable. So I think there's a lot of people around the country who are really, really finding out what teachers go through on a daily basis and the appreciation for them. So I think coming out of this is going to be very high.
Are you keeping a schedule with your kids and stuff? Because I know every day feels the same. And do you keep that?
We are. We're keeping a schedule, especially during the week. We're trying to keep it a normal school week. Getting them up in the morning and making sure they do their schoolwork in the morning to knock that out, and then we can get out and play in the afternoon. On the weekends, obviously, not so much because they're not doing their schoolwork on the weekends. But we we're doing new things. We're doing a lot more yard work. We're cleaning the house. We have some people that used to help us with that, but we don't do that anymore. So we all pick a different chore on the weekends and do that type of stuff. So we're kind of keeping on a schedule. Yes.
That's good. And then, coming into all this, having the challenges of 6 kids and 6 different schedules, how are they handling all this?
They're doing a pretty good job. I'm really proud of our older kids. They've been very self-sufficient. And so that's been nice. Like I said, we help the younger ones out a little bit more, but our kids have done a great job. And I think they're using their time wisely and kind of like we've telling our children, like I tell our players, like, hey, there's going to be some people that waste this time away and other people that use it more wisely. And then when we come out of this, people are going to be in different places. And so we're trying to, kind of help them understand that they have some time here, some opportunity to better themselves and to grow. And so that's what we're trying to emphasize.
Yeah. And coming into next year, how different could how different could, like, you know, with recruiting and all that, with not home visits, how do you think that could affect this incoming recruiting class?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think a lot of this will depend on when things start to open up and we can get back in front of people and interact with them, and you know what the fall is going to look like in terms of official visits. I think that's going to be a really big thing. In September, we can do home visits, and then in the fall do official visits. And I think just a lot of it depends on where we're at that point. That'll drive a lot of recruiting. Because the other thing I think that could happen in basketball, since we didn't do home visits this spring, we didn't have, you know, there's a potential to not have any summer recruiting. And then if it lingers into the fall where it restricts us in any way, I think, you know, most people in women's basketball sign early in November, in the early signing period. But I'm wondering if, because this kind of pushed all of this back, if kids may wait and sign late because they didn't really have an opportunity to go through the process in a way that allows them to make a good decision. So I think that could be one thing that could be heavily impacted.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. And
no problem. I appreciate it.
Always appreciate you having on. And we'll be talking with you later on in when the season may come around.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.